It's Hannah and Pinocchio. We're here to talk about games. Hi, today I'm going to be covering What Remains of Edith Finch on the Nintendo Switch. On the eShop, it's $20 at full price, and I will say it does offer a beautiful and unique experience that I think most story lovers will enjoy. However, I think that the intrigue only goes so deep, just like the gameplay and the story. Now, if you can find the game on sale, which is the only way that I recommend people purchase digital games on the Nintendo Switch, it's definitely worth it. I do have a lot of mixed feelings about What Remains of Edith Finch that I'm going to get into, but I also do have a lot of good things to say about it. I think for the right person, at the right time in their life, this is the perfect game. For me, I found it lacking.
And for a while, things were good. Almost normal. But it didn't last.
What Remains of Edith Finch is described as a collection of strange tales or a first-person exploration video game. I'd say it also falls into the visual novel category, but it also somehow doesn't feel like it fits into any of these. Sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing. I'm new to games like this, but as a story lover and an amateur film buff, I'm also a bit of the target audience. It hit well in some parts and not well in some others. I'll get into it. I did find it intriguing, easy to start, and I didn't run into any glitches or gameplay frustrations.
What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house?
The art is really striking in the game. You explore the Finch family property while experiencing cutaway-style gameplay sessions, which vary in type and style. The Finch property is unique and beautiful, a pleasure to poke around in and enjoy. The way the game is structured allows it to switch up mechanics, narration, and point of view, but it maintains a coherent and intriguing look and feel. Overall, I'm impressed with the sound design. There are a lot of neat little touches, such as the creaking of a gate as it opens. There's atmospheric sounds, and sometimes there's music, but I would say that the music is used in a very cinematic way, which can be a little bit distracting sometimes, and it's not used when it's not being cinematic, so it can be a little bit too quiet for my liking in some other points. There is this one aspect of the sound that drives me nuts, and that's the narration. There's a lot of long pauses in between the moments that are narrated, and it can kind of start to feel like you're watching a Grey's Anatomy episode and you're like waiting for that little monologue at the end to be over. So that could really be annoying if you're a person who wants to get through those moments. It really paces it out.
And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible.
And then one day, everything just stopped. Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid.
really struggled to record this part of the review. I try and be really positive in these videos, and Edith Finch just kind of bugged me. It kind of bugged me the more and more that I thought about it, the more I planned this review. I went back and played some more to make sure that I was feeling honest about it, and it's one of those games that has a variety of mechanics dependent on the story and environment that you're in at the time. This should make for an exciting and surprising experience. Sometimes it does, but for me, there was a lot missing.
Do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive, you need to be strong. Great shot, Dawn!
For the majority of the game, it functions a bit like a point-and-click puzzle exploration. You plod about in pretty much predetermined pathways while the story unfolds. As you encounter certain barriers or objects, a little visual indicator pops up to tell you what you are able to interact with. This was good because it minimized frustration or confusion. However, there's such a linear feel that it almost feels like it doesn't matter much if you're there or not. There's a pretty cool video by Frankly Gaming that talks all about how games should radically realize the choices we make. I'll link it below and above. It's a great video about decision making in games, and I can't stop thinking about it now when I'm evaluating games that I'm playing. But basically, the idea is, like, what do the choices that you make in the game matter? You know, do they matter because they push the story along, or do they matter because they make you think or feel something? In this case, it's almost like they don't matter at all because they don't push the story along. The story's already happened and you're just like bearing witness to it. I mentioned something in my Feather Airy review called volcanoing, or the idea of being allowed to volcano in a game. And actually, I was just watching one of my old videos for some editing purposes, and in the Pilot Wings video, I talk about volcanoing too, because I happened upon one. But anyways, what it means is, if there's a volcano in the game, will your interactions with it be extremely restricted? Or might you come upon a strange surprise if left to your own explorations?
Told him going around was impossible.
At first glance, What Remains of Edith Finch appears that the whole game is a volcano. Your character investigates the labyrinthian home with all sorts of nooks and crannies, secret tunnels, and hidden spaces. You never know what you'll see next. As you're drawn into flashback-style scenes to learn about each member of the family, you can interact in new and unexpected ways. It seems like a quirky, expansive game on paper, but to me, it didn't feel that way. As you play, a voiceover and floating text exposit the story to you. At first it didn't bother me, but eventually it began to grate on my nerves, always waiting for the last half of the sentence that started like 20 seconds ago. There's always this halting nature to it, where the words come just a bit too slowly, like a pause can make a simple sentence seem more deep. The minigame segments, if you can call them that, suffer from the same problem. Everything is metered out, happens slowly, in a specific order, and in a specific way.
I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt.
For me, it took away from my enjoyment of What Remains of Edith Finch as anything much more than an art piece. I enjoy the sound effects as you interact with the environment, and the music, when present, is enjoyable too. The issue is just kind of that it all feels too scripted. Music is used pretty brilliantly to emphasize important story bites, or ramp up intensity during the few interactive scenes, but in the rest of the game, it's kind of missing entirely. That makes the moments the music is used feel a little bit too obvious, or maybe even a little bit hammy.
She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
was a big issue for me when playing the game. It kind of has like a look at me quality to it, and then the payoff doesn't really feel like it's warranted that much. I can be picky about this though. I also dislike the film Memento for the same reason. If you're trying to be clever, if the thing that makes your art clever is that you tried to make it clever, that comes through and it's less genuine. While each individual segment in What Remains of Edith Finch is enjoyable on its own, it doesn't really build into anything cohesive. There's no sense of true journey. At the end, you just feel a bit like you've been led through a guided tour of a weird house. You didn't solve any problems, you didn't learn anything real or unreal, and it doesn't affect the world in the game that you were there at all. If you're someone who likes a story that has consequences and growth throughout it and a real journey or choices to make, I don't think that this game is really going to do much for you. It is entertaining in a very specific way, but the gameplay mechanics are such that you will never have more than one thing to do, and it won't affect anything. So it's kind of like watching a movie, but you do occasionally push one button or move forward. So if that won't bother you, then like definitely play this game. It's really cool as far as like the different stories that are told, the fantasy elements to it, and just, yeah, mostly that's all there is really. But it's really cool for that. You know, there's a lot of moments that made me emote or laugh or get nervous or scared for a second, and that's hard to do in a game. So it was great. I just wish that there was more consequence to it. People have told me that maybe I just don't like walking sims or something, and I'm like, okay, but hold on. That's not how this game is sold. It's sold as if it's an exploration game, which implies that you could discover something. But if all you can interact with are the things that have a little interact button, then what's there to discover, really? You know, there's no real poking around. Now, hang on. I really liked the game, but it left me feeling like I needed to write my own version of the story to feel completion. This would be something I might expect from a platformer or any game more focused on mechanics, but this game is so focused on story that there really isn't anything else, so I think it's unfortunate for it to feel unfinished. I also want to say this could be part of the original plan for the game. There's a layer of ambiguity throughout the whole thing, a feeling of whimsy and wonder and uncertainty. It might be perfect for you. For me, it left me wanting something more. Worse things have been said about games. I keep re-recording more and more and more for this video because I keep feeling like I'm not saying what I'm trying to say. It's a good game. I didn't like it.
I'm ready for it. I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food. I don't mind if I only have a year left, or a month, or a single week. I'd be happy with one new day. I can already imagine the sun on my face.